You are today is a beautiful day, beautiful, and wherever you are, I am in an undisclosed location, but the weather is beautiful outside, and I would be enjoying this one as I leave the program here. It is 2:01 in the Eastern time zone. And today is March 25th, 2023. And today we are back. Ghana Agenda is back. We'll be talking about two very important issues. One about the defamation case between Anas and Kennedy Agyapong, the member of parliament from, is it Asin North, Asin Fosu, or we'll figure that out once my guests are in. They know that pretty well. So talking about my guests, today I'll be having my regular, but just two of them, my regular panelists in Afa Amayao and Paul Disoso, the two of them will be helping me navigate these issues. But before we get into all that, I mean, Ghanaian politics is just entertaining these days. And, we are having this program, and at the backdrop, we know what just happened in Parliament, where votes were cast to either approve the president's nominations to the Supreme Court and his ministerial appointments. And again, the MPP will probably be singing, na, 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 yeah, winner, oh, yeah, winner. And I'm sure the NDC people are also there with their John Mahama song. Oh. Hey, our country, dear. All right, I think I'm joined by Paul. So wherever you are, please send the link out so others can also join. Today we are going to have fun. We're going to be talking about all these very important issues. Welcome to the show, my brother Paul Disoso. Paul, how are you? I don't think I'm your sound is coming through, so check on your audio and see what's going on with that. As Paul is doing that, so guys, like I said, we are doing this at the backdrop of this elections in Parliament, and we were expecting a lot of people, including myself, and I'm sure some of you watching as well, were expecting at least the NDC to represent, to show their numbers. But Paul would have to provide us some answers on that. Paul, are you hearing me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I cannot hear you. Oh, maybe let me check on something. Maybe it's coming from my side. Guys, if you can hear Paul, let me know. Let me just see if my audio is coming out of... okay, I see why. My audio is coming out of... Paul, say something. Let me see if I can hear you.
I can hear you very clearly.
Perfect. Welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Thank you.
How's everything with you?
Well, I am disappointed.
Okay.
I am worried. I'm not a happy person as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. I mean,
yeah.
We see what we can do moving forward. We can see what we can do to, build our party. That's all.
All right. I see Joe DC answering to my question whether I can hear you, Paul. And he said I can hear you loud and clear. Kojo, I'm not getting your brother is not coming in, so I don't know.
It will be very disappointing if I don't show up.
Hasn't showed up, right?
This is supposed to be a one-on-one. He's been bragging. He's been making a lot of noise, and I just want to nail him down. So I'll be very grateful if Kojo DC can call him and tell him that the time is up. I am here. I am waiting for him. He should join this conference call and let's have the debate.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do, my brother. Let's take a quick commercial break. I'm going to reach out to him and see if he's going to be joining us so we can have a good show. We will be right back to continue our conversation. In the meantime, this is the Ghana Agenda. Please let a friend know that we are on every Saturday. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Today's show was supposed to be a one-on-one between Pori Sosu and Efa Mayao. The two have been going at it on our, internal platform. They've been having all the debates, and the plan is to have the two of them debate the issues that we've tabled for discussion today. We're going to talk about the Maria Anas's defamation case against Kennedy Agyapong and the judgment that was just released. We're going to go into the details of that and see whether there are things that could have turn out better for Anas and some of the language used in that judgment, and kind of analyze our jurisprudence, where things are going with our judges and their pronouncements on cases, etc. Kojo is saying again, I can see my brother Paul has not slept all night.
Tell Kojo DC.
Kojo, we are waiting for you. I mean, I'm going to send you the link.
Let Kojo DC join. Let Kojo DC join. If I is not going to come, DC join.
Yeah. I'm going to send this to Kojo DC so he can start.
This is heartbreaking, right? And yeah, you are right, my brother Kojo DC. I mean, I've been turning around in my bed the whole night. I mean, this is so unfortunate. But what can we do? I mean, it is part of politics. But
so what actually happened here? Do you have any inside information?
Pieces of information that getting to us shows that it's just a betrayal, nothing more, nothing less.
Okay.
Yes.
So you think, but the numbers are staggering, right? So some of this will have about
over 30 people. Over 30 people.
It's a significance, right? So
yes.
I mean, even if it's betrayal, I mean, what is going on? I mean, this is a whole political party. Has the whip not done his job? There are accusations, fingers being pointed at the current minority leader in parliament in Ato-Forson, and people say he should step down. People are calling for his head.
I agree.
I heard some of that is
agree with that score. Right. I mean, his honorable Ato-Forson has done his best. Alfred, you cannot force the horse to the riverside, but you cannot force the horse to drink the water.
Okay.
His best with his new leadership, they did their best. And from my understanding, if they had a meeting with the top hierarchy of the party,
right,
and they all assured, all the 136 MP assured they were going to do the right thing. Just for them to, stab us in the back. I mean, it's unfortunate.
Right.
It's so disappointing. I mean, people are very upset. People are using strong words against them. I will ask that. I mean, I am very angry, very worried. But hey, I mean, let's be careful on the choice of our words, because we don't want to implicate the issues that's happening the more. But I hope and I believe, that the party has stated, we are all calling if there can be some sort of investigation done, and we are able to fish it out. Those who did this thing to the party, I think can all come together and make sure that they lose their seats, not to go into parliament again.
But it is their right to actually vote in representing their constituencies. It's their right to vote however they pleases, right? Because
this is not a matter of their right.
This
is a matter of the whole country is calling for the president to cut down the number of his appointees.
Right.
The president has refused to listen to the cry of the common people and the people who voted him into power. It was a good and a better opportunity for the minority to send that strong warning to the president that you cannot defy those who voted into power.
Right.
The minority, some of them, 30 plus of them, not all of them, 30 plus of them, to do this thing, this betrayal is so hurting.
Right.
If they think they are trying to betray Ato-Forson, whoever they are trying to pay back to, it's not going to help. It's not going to help. We are saying that we are the next alternative. We are telling Ghanaians that we can provide better alternative and better solution to Ghanaians. And then we're doing this thing. This is unfortunate.
Right.
Very unfortunate. I'm not the type of person who will come and sit here and try to defend the indefensible. This is something that you cannot defend.
Right.
It's unacceptable. This is total disrespect to the hierarchy of the party, to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to Ketia, to Fifi Koite, to all the leadership. This is a total disrespect to them. And I personally think, I mean, if there's any way that they can fish out those people, let's fish them out. Let's name and shame them.
Right.
Name and shame them. Let's make sure that they lose the primaries in their various constituency. That's what I will propose that should happen, because I mean, Ghanaians are disappointed. Not even floating voters. I've spoken to some few people today.
Mm-hmm.
Who are not party members. They are not NDC members. They are floating members. They vote left or right. They are all disappointed in us. Why? Because they put the trust and hope in our minority in parliament to be able to do something good, to be able for once to let our president understand that he cannot be doing this thing to the country whilst the country is in a mess. Once for all, to let Akufo-Addo know that at least if he thinks he has the power, there are other arms of government that can work to bring or to cut him or to put him into size. But he didn't make it. And I mean, I'm disappointed. I'm solely and highly disappointed.
Okay. Clear. So what we are talking about here is that, and we are joined by Kojo DC as well. Kojo, welcome to the show.
I am here.
All right. Good to see you. All right. So, yeah, what we are talking about is the fact that the president has nominated, has actually selected a few additional people to go to parliament. Okay. And to go to as ministers, including Katie Hammond and co. And they went through the confirmation, but then I believe they needed to be voted on, and people were expecting the parliamentarians, at least on the NDC side, to show their numbers in that election. But what turned out was almost 30 people on the NDC side either voting with the current government or not voting at all. So then the question is,
why didn't you yesterday vote their conscience? They are members of parliament,
Yeah, so they meet as as Paul Disoso was explaining there, they meet as a caucus and make these decisions that, okay, we are going to, we're going to have a block vote, or we are all voting together against this motions. But that's not what we saw. We saw a division in the NDC, and people are rightly pointing to the fact that, as the government is in power, they need all their men to do the work, and so it's obstructing to not support the government in power. So some of these 30 NDC MPs were just doing it, the country moving. I mean, the person has already been elected, is running, he's made a decision, that's how he wants to run his country. We should be able to support him in that way. Do you agree with those people, or do you think that the minority is weakened, and a weak minority doesn't augur well for any democracy?
Thank you very much, Amazo. I appreciate it. Now, my brother Paul, I sympathize with you, bro. I know it's you have a sleepless night, which for me, I'm happy.
Right.
It just doesn't matter. It's just it is policies, and you have to deal with it the way it's supposed to be, and then you move on. But I sympathize with you in terms of your help. I need you every day, my brother, to be so. Just have some sleep and then just have some fun. Let David give you some nice and then
But who told Kojo that I didn't sleep? Who told him I didn't sleep?
Oh, I can see from your face, brother. I can see that. No, we have gone through one way or the other, right?
It's so hurting. It's so hurting. I was rolling in my bed the whole of the night. I mean, honestly, the truth of the issue is that, I mean, I find it very difficult to understand what happened yesterday in Parliament. I find it difficult to understand why people have to take their personal interest over the interest of the common Ghanaian. But they've forgotten that it's the good people of Ghana, the common Ghanaian out there. They are the people who voted them into that parliament. For you to go and do otherwise. So for me, this is a lesson for all of us to learn. We've learned a lesson from it. But as I stated, I think the party should fish them out and let's deal with them. This is unacceptable.
See, Paul, you see, as much as I agree with you in terms of this politics, right? But we also have to put this in context. This is what I was even before the vote. I, for instance, was thinking that most MPP, NDC, or members of parliament are going to vote for this. for two reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One, you have your election coming out in May. People need money to stay in power.
Right.
So that is self-preservation, and that's for everybody, right? For human beings, the
So
most
how are they going
important
to
is
get that money by
self-preservation,
doing?
right?
How are they going to get that money by voting for this? Are you suggesting?
Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. Let me just be clear on this one. I'm not saying somebody has been used in any way, shape, or form, but as a businessman and a right-thinking person, if I want to stay in politics and be in power, I might assume, how do I do to stay in power first? It has to be self-preservation, right? And one, it's not a contest between an MPP and NDC. It's a contest between an NDC to NDC, which is going to bring, once the fire is coming, then I'm going to be out. Let if I take care of it. But let me just finish this sentence, right?
No, no,
It
no,
just
no,
makes
yeah,
sense.
we know. Oh, yeah, we know. Yeah, oh, yeah, we know.
It was just making logically sense that
Mm-hmm.
people are going to defy order.
Yeah.
And besides that, what we have to do to stay in power, because at the end of the day, if you are even perceived to be against the former president, and some of them are known to be perceived, any way that they will find to get you out of the primaries is going to be done. But if you have a little bit backup, which is Mola, you are more or less going to stay through. So that have been the change. But I didn't expect the numbers to be too much, though. So I don't think it was just self-induced money that people did. But I thought definitely we are going to have like 2-3 people switching. But
So you said two
averagely
reasons.
21, that is too much.
You said two reasons. You gave one. So what is the other reason?
Yeah. The other reason was people seeing that the NDC is becoming too much as obstructionists. They are just doing this for their political interest. We need a country to be governed. Even if the government is going to change hands, whatever years is going to be, we need a country to be running. That country to be running will based on the money or the financial well-being of the country for any government to continue. Because first of all, the former president, if for instance, an unlikely event becomes the president, he's not going to use his personal money to run the country. It's going to be the same resources that the government of the day is using, right? So at the end of the day, people are thinking, no, let me be a patriot for a minute and do the right thing. And that will be the reason.
I think Kojo DC is
I'll be listening. If I hear my boss
let me work on my file. Kojo, you are free to stay.
No, I will leave you because it's just between them. I will just
Kojo, you don't need to leave. Just stay.
You should stay. But all what he has said is off track. Why is it off track? This thing has nothing to do with ruling the country.
But you want to hold on so we can work on FI in before you start throwing fire. FI, I hear you have yeah, we don't repeat. Is that true?
He's happy. Of course, I don't
it's not. I mean, what is the topic on the table? What happened?
By the way, we were just saying that even though we want to talk about NAS and the state of the nation, there is some other elephant in the room, which is what just happened in Parliament, and the expectation was that the government needs to run, and the president has suggested people that would help him do the running of the country, and in spirit of solidarity and support for the president, the expectation is that you might see some 1 or 2 NDC kind of crossing the line, but we saw 30 in some instances. So is it a signature? Is this, can we infer from that the opposition is becoming weak? Or is just Nana's ability to continue winning each turn? What is your assessment of what we saw in Parliament yesterday?
I don't even know why people are. Hey, anyway, welcome. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and thanks to my very good friend. This one, me, I'm a traditional man who I have to marry from his family so we can have this relationship for a very long time. Politics aside, very important.
You want to do a customary law, right? Customary law.
Politics also, and they're going to love me in the family. That is for sure. But more seriously on this, I'm not surprised about what happened. Okay, the only success in this parliamentary republic. This is the 5th or what is this? This is the 5th, right?
The fourth republic.
Yeah. this fourth one, the only success that the NDC have had is the election of the speaker. That's it. I'm not surprised about anything. You see, there's
Parliament.
Yeah, Parliament.
This is the seventh Parliament and not the fourth Republic.
Exactly. Right. So the seventh Parliament. Now, the only success the NDC have had is the election of the speaker. Now, so they have the speaker, and then they have what they call an equal strength. Okay, and we've been telling them consistently, they as a party and their support base. You see, there's two things that is happening, and they are not getting it. You see, their base, they are not their base. The parliamentarians and the leaders know that the MPP is doing the right thing, so they will support us. That is number one. And then the second thing is that they know this, so behind the scene, they will support us, come to an agreement, pat us on the back, and keep going. We're going to be behind you. The second point is what they tell their people, and that is where the dishonesty lies. They go and tell their people that this is it, we are not going to agree, we are going to do this, and sometimes I don't even have a problem with they doing that, because there are some people and there are some situations that is what you do. But when they carry it to the extremes where it leads to death and stuff like that, because sometimes you need to have some of these two-face to be able to carry on with a particular setting. We understand that. But me, right. I'm not surprised. You see, what they need to do is to be honest with what opposition comes with. Okay? Now, particularly with this appointment, okay, we all share that they had a base to stand on. Big government, big expenditure, cut off your expenditure and stuff like that. Everybody sharing that. Civil society and some good number of Ghanaians. Okay? But you will see that it is not coming from an honest premise. It is coming from a political premise.
What do you
because
mean?
Along the line, they were changing their stand. Oh, if you can do something about the CI, then maybe we can pass this, knowing that it will pass. Let me tell you, the appointment has passed and the CI will pass. They know they will pass. All these things will pass. They have agreed to that already, but they are deceiving their base. They are not being honest with the good people of Ghana, and that is not good for opposition.
All right.
Be honest, be principled, and go on that tangent. That is why, you see, when you listen carefully to NDC, Mahama, their leadership, Afifi Kote, this. Today they say this, tomorrow they say that. If you take their statement on issues, on policy, on stuff like that, it is one contradiction after the other. So me, I'm not surprised. But we cannot take an opposition that is disorganized, which is what the NDC is right now.
Right.
They are seeing losing 2028. So all that they are doing is machoism and preparing their base for whatever. But you see, it is not good for your base. It is not good for the good people of Ghana. Be honest and do what comes with opposition, which is the alternative policy that are out there. If you sit here and tell me that you can run with 60 ministers, how many ministers did Mahama run Ghana government from 2012 up to 2016? How many ministers?
Well,
you see, that is dishonesty. That is dishonesty. He cannot do that. But we all agree that some of the ministries need to be merged and stuff like that. But you see, so that is number one point. The second point that we have to come to an agreement with is that
this is preliminary.
Amuzu, last point. It's very important. You see, we have a constitution that gives the president a free hand to operate. So long as we are not ready to amend the constitution, so long as we are not ready to curtail how long you can go, it is a free hand. And when you have given people free hand, it is based on their whims and caprices. You cannot sit somewhere and say that, oh, I think you should have a ministry of this when you have a ministry of that. It doesn't work like that. In these democracies right here where we are sometimes pride ourselves with the Americans, with the Europeans and stuff like that, you see, they operate within the law. So when they say we are electing judges, we are electing judges. You don't give the president room to appoint and say you've appointed the wrong person. These things do not work. And you guys know that you are playing mischief, you are playing politics with it. So my good friend Paul, come and align with me. Sometimes we can play politics, but at certain times too, let us be honest with the good people of Ghana and say that this is not politics. This is the way it go, and that we accept this in good faith. We'll go back and come back strong, and then hopefully Ghanaians will sympathize with that. But 2024, well, Lusukra and Sanayato Abano. Thank you.
All right, that is a spirited, passionate presentation there from FMA. Paul, take it over.
Yes,
Paul, FMA made a lot of assertions there.
I'm going to address all. Well,
okay.
Look, we are
let's do that. Let's do that quickly so we can go into the main issue.
We are doing politics as much as it is politics. Yes, I agree. It is politics. I would be a hypocrite to stand here or to sit here this afternoon to say that I'm not disappointed. I'm highly disappointed in some members of parliament who betrayed us. For the question over here, it is about betrayal, nothing more, nothing else. For Ifa to take advantage of this, of course, I would have also do the same thing. He's trying to take advantage of it to throw jabs left, right, center, forward, and he knows very well that most of the jabs he threw were fallacy. He was just throwing that into our eyes. Let's talk about, he was talking about policies, that we don't have better policies and that we are trying, we are deceiving the Ghanaian. That is not true. Ifa knows very well that when it comes to people, a party that have policies, the NDC is on top. We always come out with pragmatic policies that when we implement, okay, you see end results. We are not the type of party whereby we come and introduce populist policy like the free SHS, like the one district, one factory, and those things that has come to a halt. You understand? For now, the only good achievement that this super incompetent NPB government can boast of is free SHS. Apart from free SHS, there is nothing that they can boast of. That's number one. Number two, if I should tell me that the constitutional reform should be looked at, yes, the constitutional reform started at President Mills' time. The blessed, may he so rest in peace, His Excellency Professor Mills, okay, the late Professor Mills, started the reform of the constitution. John Mahama came to power, it was being worked on. But the very people who are saying that there should be constitutional reform were not ready to come to terms for us to look at the constitutional reform. Yes, I agree. This morning we had a conversation on the phone, and I said, yes, there's a lot of things that need to change in our constitution. There's a lot of constitutional reform that need to take place, and I hope and I believe His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has promised the good people of Ghana that when he takes power in the 2024 December election and he gets to power in January 7th, 2025, he will do everything possible to bring people on board, CSO, the MPP, bring everybody on board. Let's look at our constitution. It is true that it has given power to the president, and we need to, look at some of those things. So for me, if I will have every, jabs to throw this afternoon on this irresponsible of some of our MPs, 30 plus MPs, because of their irresponsibleness, because of their greed, because of their, selfishness, because of them seeking their personal interest over the nation's interest, that has landed us to where we are today. That is why people like Ifa will have the nerves to be jabbing us left, right. And I admit it very well that, we goofed. The party goofed, the parliamentarian goofed. We need to go back, go to the drawing board. Let's look at the issues at stake. And I think when Kojo DC was also speaking, he was talking about, policies that, these are things that need to happen and all those stuff. Look, what we are saying is that we are in a mess, economic mess. And even the German ambassador to Ghana has informed or has asked the president to reduce the size of his government. It is not about throwing dust into the eyes of our people that Mahama was a president. He managed with 85 or 83 people, so 83 ministers, so saying that he's going to reduce the number to 60, he cannot do it. We are going to do it. Ghana is going to because we are in a total mess. And it is on record.
Why is the German guy, why is he putting his mouth in our business?
Exactly. He's not putting his mouth in our business because we go begging him. Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo went begging him to talk to, the donors, the donor finance to reduce or to forgive us our debt. And he was telling Nana that to be able to do that, you have to look at the size of your government.
Right.
Reduce the size of your government. For me, I mean, we are playing politics, but as you know me, I'm very honest when it comes to issue. In this time, our members of parliament has failed us once more time. Let's just like they did to the e-levy and they did to the first appointment of the first batch of ministers, they've once again failed us, and we should bow our heads in shame. It is unacceptable, and I am using this platform to appeal to the leadership of the party, Asiedun Ketia General and his leadership, able leadership. Let's fish out those people who did this thing. Let's bring them to book. Let's make sure that they lose their primaries. Let's make sure that they don't go back to parliament. That's the only thing we can do to make people responsible, to get people to respect the ideology and the philosophy of the NDC. Thank you.
Okay. I want us to move away from this topic. Yeah.
No, just a minute for this. You see, what my brother Paul is
1
saying.
minute, please. It's 32.
Yeah, we'll just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. What he's saying that this is vindictiveness. That if you like, people are using their conscience in thinking of the broader perspective in terms of the government. I always use this scenario for the minority leader in the USA, Mitch McConnell. He says, when you're giving to the power, it means that the country has given you the power to rule each way out. It doesn't mean we don't need opposition, but at the end of the day, the power has been given to us. Why don't you give us the chance to flow, to make sure we do the right thing? If it's not good to the right thinking of Ghanaians, then we get voted out, and then you take the power. Why do you obstruct it?
Thank you so much. Let's take a quick break so we can grab some water, drink, because we're going to talk about Anas, Anas. I know if I smiling because he's been ready for this, all right? We will be right back, guys. Tell a friend to tell a friend. The Ghana agenda is on. We'll be back. Okay. All right, welcome back to the show. We've just kind of did some preliminary conversations, things happening in the background, including, Kojo is gone. Well, including what we saw in Parliament yesterday, where we had to vote to confirm ministers that have been appointed by the president and some judges to the courts. Now let's talk about one of the issues we table for today, which is the judgment from the High Court on the defamation case of Anas versus Kennedy Agyapong. So sometime in 2018, Anas filed a suit against Kennedy Agyapong, accusing him of defaming him, and some of the details of which includes the fact that Kennedy Agyapong used words like Anas is self-confessed thief. He's a murderer. He killed a former member of parliament. In this particular case, he's talking about Joseph Boachi Dankwa Edu, which we commonly refer to as JB Dankwa. It says Anas is an abettor of the murder of several Chinese nationals. He's an evil and dishonest person. He's a thief. He's suffering from mental derangement. He cheated his way through law school, promotes illegal mining. He's a fraudster, extortionist, blackmailer, is corrupt. He corrupts public officials. He engages in tax evasion. He engages in custom duty evasions. He takes bribes to influence the outcome of his investigative journalistic work. He impersonates himself as a lawyer. He engages in criminal assaults, engages in threat of death, engages in threat of harm, he's a land guard. Illegal land grabbing, interferes with the administration of justice. He's an odious and contemptible person. He's a cheat. He molests children. He's inordinately discredit of foreign powers. Okay, he terrorizes people. Fraudulent acts. He engages in fraudulent acts and extortion with his lawyer, and he's an email hacker. Those are the things Anas accused Kennedy Agyapong of saying. Okay. Now, I don't know if I heard all that. So Kennedy Agyapong admitted to all the things that have been said about him. Just kind of a quick background. When such cases are filed, the court will have to settle on the issues to address. Issues meaning they listen to both sides and then they kind of go into a conference and both sides would agree on what are the main issues that we need to tackle. And in this particular case, it is my belief that the issues identified were one, that whether or not the words which the defendant, in this case Kennedy Agyapong, published and or caused to be published of the plaintiff being Anas, and set out in so and so paragraph, naturally and ordinary, in their natural and ordinary meaning, defame, or it's understood to mean they defame Anas. The second issue would be whether the words published or caused to be published, and they mention paragraphs again, actually defame the plaintiff. And then the third will be whether or not the words were published. The fourth being whether the defendant was justified in publishing or causing to be published the words that's plaintiff is accusing him of, all those words that I've just read. And then the fifth one is whether or not the plaintiff is entitled to aggravated damages per the matter pleaded. And there were additional issues that were added to that, which is one, whether the words or comments uttered by the defendant, mainly in local language, the Twi, about the conduct of the plaintiff are true or factual. And the last one being whether the comments uttered by the defendant, mainly in Twi, were justified and fair. Okay, so in defamation cases, basically, different countries do this differently. In Ghana, they have identified 4 elements. Matter of fact, when you go to a court and a case is, or whatever case you're filing and whatever claims you are making, whether it's defamation or maybe name it, murder, there is going to be elements. There are going to be specific elements that needed to be proved. The person who is taking the case to the court will have to prove those elements. If they were able to establish successfully all the elements, depending on whether the elements are conjunctive or disjointive. Sometimes when they are conjunctive, what it means is that you have to prove A, B, C all together in order to establish your case. That if you fail to prove one of those, then your case is not established, and therefore the ruling can go in the defendant's favor. However, even after establishing all the elements, in this case we are going to talk about 4. After establishing all the 4 elements, the defendant, if he can poke hole in just one of your elements, he's won the case. Now, the defendant can poke that hole by rebutting, by saying, this proof that you provided, I don't agree with it, and here are my facts that in support of my disagreement. And if it is proven that the defendant's disagreement is legit, That is it. So a rebuttal evidence can be used to poke hole in your argument, or there can be an affirmative defense. An affirmative defense meaning that, okay, you accepted everything that the plaintiff has established in their prima facie case. However, you have a defense. In this particular case, 2 defenses were relied on. Although there are 5 possible defenses that could have been taken by plaintiff in a defamation case, he decided to rely on 2. So we will look at what those defenses are and what the main elements are. So the main element, one, is that the words used, are they defamatory? Are they capable of defaming somebody, right? If I say you are stupid, is that a word that is capable of defaming you? So that's the first element. The second element agreed to in Ghana is whether or not the word actually defame you. So capable of defamation is just meaning that is the word itself capable in its plain meaning to defame a person. Second is whether the word actually defame that person. Like if a madman is walking by, decide the example of a madman is walking by and call you stupid, do you feel like, you've been disgraced or defamed by that? And then the third would be whether the words have been published. When we say the words have been published, publishing just means if another person has been made to know of the words. For instance, if I call you stupid and you feel like that is defamation, but I only told you that, then there's no defamation. Defamation is not to protect your feelings. It is to protect your image. So it's only published when I tell a third person. And in this particular case that we are going to discuss, we realize that a lot of those words were actually said on TV. So of course that is publication. And the last one is whether the plaintiff was identified as the person who those words should apply to. So if I say, all these people are so stupid, and you are one of those people, I have not directed it to any specific person. So if you take me to court, I have not necessarily identified you to be the one who stupid should be associated with. So it is likely you will not meet that element. So those are the 4 elements that this judge seek to actually prove in this case. Now, so plaintiff, which is Anas, has to establish all those elements. Now, in establishing those elements, a couple of things can happen. It's either he goes and establishes it, or the defense will just admit to it. In this particular case, the defense says, I have said all those words, so you don't need to prove anything. If defense says, I accept that all the things you said, I said them all, then it's done. Plaintiff's burden to prove those 4 elements, it has been foreclosed or has been released. He doesn't have to do any other thing. It is now bent on the defendant to either rebut the things, provide his affirmative defense. Because he admitted it, there's no rebuttal either. Rebuttal would only happen if he disagrees with one of the elements, so he has to show why he's disagreeing. But he said he's accepted them all, so there's no rebuttal there. The only thing the plaintiff did here was present his affirmative defenses. I'm going to talk about affirmative defenses, and I'll stop there and start picking your brain on these things. The affirmative defenses we have, one is privilege, absolute privilege. An absolute privilege would have been if you were a government official and you are privileged to certain information that is in the public interest that you say, but they are defamatory towards the person you are saying it about. For instance, Kennedy Agyapong being the chairman of is he national security or whatever that position he holds, if he has some information, which one? Interior Committee. If he has some information that Anas's operations or what do you call it, the way he goes about his investigation has some harm to the public, which is in the public interest, then he can go for the absolute privilege. Okay. Then there is also a qualified privilege, which means that you may not have to be a politician or anything, but if you know some information or whatever information you are saying, the defamatory information you are saying is in the public interest. So those 2 privileges, it has to be in the public interest. The absolute one, you have to be in a government or be a government official. The second one, which is the qualified privilege, it just has to be that information that you are passing on that is defamatory to the plaintiff has to be in the public interest. Then you have, but for those 2 that I've just mentioned, the privileged ones, right, the absolute and the qualified privilege, it must not be done with malice. If you did it maliciously, then you don't have that defense. That defense goes away as long as the defendant had uttered those words in malice. So we'll kind of look into what malice is. Now, there are two other defenses or three other defenses. There's consent. If I consent that you should insult me and you insult me, then you have not defamed me. So consent is one. He's not using consent. He's not using absolute privilege. He's not using qualified privilege, but he's using justification and fair comment. Justification to mean that what you have said is true. If I insult you that you are stupid and you are actually stupid, then I'm justifying insulting you that you are stupid, right? Or defaming you. Then the last one, meaning the fair comment, is if it is your opinion, if it is not based on fact. Because what is defamation? Defamation is a publication of a statement of fact, right? That casts somebody in a negative light and the person suffers a harm. Okay. Now, the harm requirement, which is the person has to suffer some harm, and that harm would be the damages that will pay damages to kind of clear that harm. The person doesn't have to show harm if it is liable per se. The person doesn't have to show harm. So there will be no need to show harm. But if it is slander, then the harm requirement is there. So defamation is divided into two. There's slander, there is liable. Slander would mean that the publication of the negative information that you know about the person is in a temporary media, like you just said it in words. It's not published anywhere in a permanent situation. For instance, if I just insult you without, and other people are there and they heard it, it's defamation, but it's slander. In that case, I have to prove that I suffer some harm or damages. But when it's liable, which is if it is published in a permanent media, let's say I said it on the radio or I publish it in a newspaper, then it becomes a defamation per se. I do not have to prove damages or harm to me. Okay, I'm going to stop there. The two defenses Kennedy Agyapong rely on are that he's justified in defaming Anas because the things he said are true. The second one meaning that they are fair comments that he made. The fair comment part, I have questions on that because I disagree with the way it was characterized, because fair comment meaning that it is just his opinion. It's not factual. But the judge kind of mixed the two together to where he hasn't clearly differentiated between the two. What are your preliminary comments on this? I kind of just give a background on the case itself and what expectations are, or what people should expect out of those judgments, reading it, how they can understand it. Give me your preliminary comment and we'll go through element by element to see where the judge may have done things right or where you think there are some of the things I suspect. I'll start from Paul Disosu.
Well, thank you very much. For me, I mean, I've not spent much time on this case because I was not expecting any outcome. The outcome I was expecting is exactly what has been, given out.
Right.
Why am I saying so? Because look, as much as Anas has this mode of operation, which some people have issues with, it has helped a lot to, put or to expose a lot of corruption, a lot of, bad business dealing in the system. Well,
right.
Yes, I'm not going to sit here to behave as an ostrich and say that, everything Anas is doing is genuine and he has no issues. Of course, he's a human being. Okay. Every human being has their lapses, lapses that, people might have issues with. Yes. Other people in the Japan might have an issue with, Anas, or maybe the mode of operations, mode of paranda of operation. Yes. I personally also, 100%, I don't think I agree with the way he does his things by recording people secretly and trying to, expose them. And then if it is true that after he does his investigation and undercover investigation and comes to take money from people, and if you're able to pay him, he does not show it, and if you don't pay him, he shows it, then that is a great worry of concern. That's a very great concern that we should all be worried about. But for me, I don't have any evidence to suggest that. I don't have any evidence to prove that. The judge had all the evidence that he has. And as much as he has made this judgment and whatever he is feeling, I think I have listened to a lot of, legal brains, different people from different angles. Judges, lawyers, people that matters in society. And then a lot of people have, be very disappointed in the judgment and words and the strong words that was used by the judge.
Right.
It's unacceptable. Yes, if you think, Anas, was wrong or whatever he did was wrong. The words that you use even has exposed your, I don't know how to say it. He has exposed his, which means he has a predetermined, view about the case before it came to his.
Well, I know, Paul. I know if I would disagree, but I can show you in the judgment some of the maneuvers, but we'll get into all that. So
yes, so for me, if you look read the judgment, from the beginning of the judgment, the judge admitted that yes, all the Kennedy Agyapong did was, there was no doubt about it. He has, admitted that, Kennedy Agyapong was not supposed to do those things. At the end of it, he ended up, anything that Anas is a threat to us. Use the words; those words are strong words that he used. Well, I think, I've heard Anas team say that they are going for appeal.
Right.
Going to appeal to, let's hope and let's see if the appeal will come off. But Supreme Court Justice Ban, or is that the name? Ban. Right. Something Ban. What's the name, Ifa?
The justice that rendered the decision.
Yes.
Yes. Let me show you.
Something Ban.
Yeah. Let me see. Hold on.
Ban. Yeah. I think, he did not take his time to consider.
Yeah, Eric Ba,
correct. Yep. He did not take his time to consider all the pre-hearing conditions they set for themselves. I think he just focused on only one angle to give his judgment, and at the end of it, he also fined Anas, I think it's 60 or 50,000 Ghana cedi to be paid to the state or something of that sort.
25,000.
25,000 to be paid to the state. Whilst Anas was seeking 25 million.
25 million, correct.
From Kennedy Agyapong. So you see, this is the judicial service that we have, which IFA is going to defend. This is the set of system.
I don't understand why the finding would actually even go the other way. Maybe he found for court, for the legal fees. I'm sure maybe they're.
I'm sure that's for the legal fees and all.
Yeah, I'm sure they asked for legal fees.
As much as fairness, I will call for fairness and equity. Okay, Anas mode of operating might be disturbing, which when he does it to me, I will not like it, because if you want to do, you hide and record me and then go and bring it out and all those stuff. That is part of journalism. As a country, we need to come together and let's agree. Are we going to accept this mode of operation, the way he operates? And I believe if I would be defending this thing, because we'll be defending this, but it's unfortunate that Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, one of his, when he was a candidate, he was asked on a debate by Kojo Opon Nkrumah, who is his Minister of Information now, that what is his
he was going to fight corruption.
Exactly, corruption. He said they are going to use the NAS model. So for him to be a president, a human rights president, that if I will claim and boast about him, for him to be, in charge, that the mode of operandi of operation that he said he was going to use when he became president, that is being attacked today, is leave, much to desire. I'm not going to end there. I'm not going to end there. The question over here is, I am not a legal brain, so I'm not going to pretend to be one. I know you are studying to become a lawyer. I know if I has a little legal background, but for me, I was so much, disappointed in the judgment. Even if anything at all, the words that was used by the judge shows that the judge has already taken side before the case came to him.
Yeah, he was really hard on Anas. Anyway, even the way he came off right away describing Kennedy Agyapong as, well, I think in the defense statement, the defense cast Kennedy Agyapong as the anti-fraud crusader, the anti-corruption crusader, investigative.
And before IFA comes in, you see, this judgment from the court, if Anas really think he has a case, and which I think he has a case, you should go for an appeal. And let's set the record straight, because if we don't do this, we are going to discourage, investigation, undercover investigating journalists who are in the country, who are bringing a lot of rot out.
But
it's going to go a long way. It's going to go a long way to defeat the fight against corruption.
Paul, I don't necessarily think we would be discouraging investigative journalism, right? Because I don't think that is the question here. The question here really is it true that Anas actually blackmails people with the videos that he records? Because Anas, and I want to lay the facts down so that,
I stated earlier on in my submission that I don't know how far it's true. But if that is true, then it is very worrying for him to be doing that. If that is true. And I don't know. And I know there was, KOA1 or something that was on basis.
Yeah, that thing was all over the place.
Yeah, it was over there on the basis of, giving the judgment and all those stuff. The question is that the raw audio visual that was presented at court? And I know you legal people talks about it's not admissive in court. I know you legal people. I'm not a legal guy, but at least I know that something that is not a raw footage will not be admitted in court. So for me, I'm surprised that Anas and his lawyer also didn't, question and attack that audio visual that the judge based his judgment on. They allow it to pass. So for me, let's look at the review. Let the case go back to review. Let's look at extra judges coming to sit on case. Let's see if they will have a different mind from Eric Ban. But for me, Justice Eric Ban has done the service to this country, to me.
Okay. Yeah. So quickly, the way I think you and I should approach this is perhaps let's kind of lay the facts down, like the real facts, right? And then take the facts and perhaps your knowledge of maybe defamation and how it works, and then paint the picture so that the people can really understand what is happening here. Because the average person reading this sometimes get it, sometimes they don't. What are the facts? The facts here are in one of the so basically Kennedy Agyapong has to do his defense, and he started with the justification piece, and he produced evidence in KO1. This is the evidence have been named. I think the quality of this, ruling is so bad, because I think as a judge, there got to be some proofreading of this thing, because one time it's named KO1, another time it's named KAO1, another time it's named. So they kind of just, made a mess of identifying the evidence. But K1, whichever way we want to call it, right? In that evidence, this is a video where on one occasion, Anas was on tape talking up to we have to ask Anas this way too. But anyway, Anas was on tape talking to one Babatunde, who apparently was engaged in a fraudulent scheme that cost $1.9 million, right? For which Anas was saying Babatunde bought him, because Babatunde was related to Anas somehow, according to the words of the tape. And the accusation was that, or the averment from defense was that Anas confessed to being paid $100,000. Okay, and then there's a second piece of that tape that says because Anas took that $100,000, Anas was again caught on tape discussing that fraud case with the state prosecutor, where the conversation, Anas, according to Anas, that conversation was just a rehearsals for trial. But then it moved from the rehearsals to now, how much were we paid? 100,000. How much did I get? I deposited 5,000. Apparently, Anas deposited $5,000 into the state prosecutor's accounts. And then he was telling the state prosecutor, now we would have to make the evidence fit the way we want to prosecute it, so that we remove Tunde out of the case. And lo and behold, when that case went to court, Babatunde's name was not mentioned, but other people who participated in that fraud scheme, like Hafid's name made it into the final prosecution, a prosecution which was thrown out of court eventually because the state could not prosecute you. The state could not actually make the case so that that prosecution could happen. Anas, in his defense, says he wrote a letter to the state attorney's office. Matter of fact, this case was happening in 2008. When this defamation case came up in 2018, Anas's lawyer wrote a letter to the Office of Attorney General to obtain whether or not Anas actually came to court and testified in that case. The answer was yes, he came to court and testified. So Kennedy Agyapong's allegation that Anas helped the prosecutor to remove that case from court or frustrate the case is inaccurate, because Anas came to court, he brought the videos to the court to show where Babatunde was taking bribe, and Babatunde and all these other people were caught on tape saying this and that. But at court, that evidence, that videotape was overruled and not admitted, and therefore he couldn't submit it. So the judge recognizes this, and the judge says that, well, it is the fault of the registry that when Kennedy Agyapong before Kennedy Agyapong made this statement, when he went to the court to get the information about how that case between Hatif, Babatunde and co were prosecuted, that Babatunde's name was not shown and the case was frustrated. It was the fault of the registry that they gave the wrong information to Kennedy Agyapong, and Kennedy Agyapong relied on the wrong information to make this defamatory statement. So that evidence, KA01 itself, has so many questions about it. I want you to talk to me about where you think the credibility of that. In all these things I've just said, the judge admitting to what was shown to him by the prosecutor's office, that even Anas himself did not frustrate. Anas was in court. The mistake was from the registry. Yet, he accepted that evidence as credible. Do you agree with him? If you do, why?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
If I has nothing to say. I
have a lot to say.
Okay.
And when we get opportunities like this, it's an opportunity to educate.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, I have sued somebody here in Chicago on defamation. Okay. Wow. And I eventually had to withdraw because
I hope he's not going to sue me for defamation. I
won't. Because the first was the lawyer advised me, it's a 50-50 thing, and then the second was that the elders in the community met me and said it is not really, you know me and we can go ahead and solve this problem. So we met and we fixed it. So I said okay. So that now, so all the elements in defamation, nobody want to be defamed. We spend time building a reputation, okay? So when they say you've been defamed, it means somebody is telling people otherwise other than who you portrayed yourself in the public to be, right? Which is in Anan's case, a credible person, trying to catch corrupt officials, and he became the toast of the Ghanaian public from one place to the other. And then all of a sudden somebody says, hey Jack, let's watch. Let's have a different view. I don't think this is something that we should be celebrating. And let me before I continue, right? There was a case in New York. It was held it said that it was held in November 1st, 2011. And then the detective involved was a New York detective by name Jason Albany. Okay, why is this case significant and similar to Anas case? So this was a guy. Now he was working in the narcotic department of the New York police department, and he was getting too much narcotic cases. So it was too much that somebody said, this is not realistic. We have to find out. So who watches the watchman? Now they asked somebody to follow him, not knowing he was the one that was planting the narcotics on the victims and jailing them. You see how the whole thing. He was acting up. So he will stop somebody. He has the drugs on him, cocaine, whatever. put it in the person's car, arrest the person, and the person gets prosecuted. He was eventually busted, and he was jailed. You know, he was jailed for his action. Why am I linking that to this this case? Now, here is somebody that said, "No, hey Jack, let's watch it." And when Kennedy Agyapong began questioning, you see, Kennedy Agyapong is not questioning the principle that we should fight corruption. He's not. He has not. In fact, evidence points to the fact that some of the documentaries were done at the Kent City, at Kennedy Agyapong's place. Anas has ever worked with Kennedy Agyapong before. He agreed that we should fight corruption. But the methodology, we all agree we should do this. But how are we going to do it? What means? What are the steps we're going to put in place to get there? That is the crack of the matter here. Not the fact that we should fight corrupt people. We should go into the football and see that there are some corrupt people there. If it is Nyancheti, let's bring him out. Let's go to customs, and if there's Bino people are using them for whatever, internationally, whatever. No, nobody. If anybody is against that, then that person has a problem for all of us to contend with. And as we speak, there are people in Ghana that are doing investigative journalism. If we don't know, we still know the fourth estate. Menasi Azuri, he does investigative journalism, doesn't cover his face, he exposes people. Sometimes he says they are threats, you know, we deal with it, and then he goes and come back. Yeah, you're always going to face threats. That is that. When you fight corruption, like Dem Lebo said, corruption will come hunting at you and corruption will deal with you. That's how it works. So Kennedy Agyapong said, wait a minute, let's look at this again. And then he went on to provide evidence, and then the defamation came in. And Anas said he'd been defamed and that there is a need for the court to look at it and all that. So let's go to the issue of defamation now. So you present your case that you've been defamed, blah, 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 these reasons, okay? And then it is up to the defendant to also come in and say, okay, so if you say I have defended you, these are my defenses, for which Kennedy Agyapong relied on two, which you've said. Now, the first two that you mentioned, the absolute and the privilege.
Yeah.
Okay, the absolute and the privilege. Those are reserved for government officials, the president, MPs, somebody in privileged position to make comment, but also has its own rules and restrictions. You don't take advantage of that to just go say anything. They just anyhow. Okay? Because Kennedy Agyapong couldn't rely on those ones because you are not there. Where you said it, you are not there. Even if you are NP, it has to be in the chamber for you to have. And you have to have that caveat that you are not doing this for purposes. Like we are discussing e-levy. Then you say Anas is a criminal. No, master. You will be held liable. You get my point? So those are the issues. So he said he relied on fair comment and justification. Okay, now the justification is very important. You see, whether we like it or not, there are certain personalities, because of the way they've carried themselves, they have become public figures. Mahama is a public figure. You cannot just deal with him anyhow. Okay, there are others that fall into that category. Kennedy Agyapong, you know, we can mention them. And within the country, there are people that are considered, they may be in their private business, but because of the way they are working, they stand in certain positions to become public figures, and you got to deal with them somehow. Now, let me give you a scenario of that private people that become public figures. You see, there is a giant tech company in China. I've forgotten their name.
The one that starts with an H, I think.
Huawei.
Huawei. Yeah,
Yeah,
Huawei.
you see, they have an issue with the American distance. So their CEO was visiting Canada or something, and America used it as an opportunity, and then they asked the Canadian government to detain him, and that became a huge. You see, Huawei is a private company, right, in China, but because of what they do, and in the tech industry and stuff like that, even though they are private companies, they become something that the Chinese government has to protect. This became an issue between the Chinese government and the American government, and they have to fix it somehow. So we gotta get how all these things progresses. So having said that, let's go to the issues at stake. So Anas goes to court that there has been a documentary produced and there has been a documentary made, a comment made that defames him. Okay, and very much so. I mean, anybody that looks at it who want to be called corrupt. Until Kennedy Agyapong came out, why would you say Anas is corrupt? Why would you say Anas is a blackmailer? Anas is a
because see, the thing is, the video that Kennedy Agyapong showed in Who Watches the Watchman, right? These were videos that were shot some time ago in 2008, 2009. Right. And the point is, Anas did not show them just like he was showing all the other ones. That was the accusation, because Hatif went on TV to say that, well, I participated in this corruption that actually cost 1.9 million. You did not show it because we paid you $50,000.
Exactly.
And so were you caught? You were also caught on tape saying, "Oh, we got 100,000." I think there's kind of some conflict in those numbers because one says 50, another says 100. But here's the thing, right? My issue is whether or not, I think the question I'm trying to get from you is whether or not you agree, right, that the evidence KA01 or KOA1, whichever way you want to call it, is credible and should be admitted, because the things in that, which was the basis of this whole ruling, the judge pretty much relied on that video to pronounce this ruling. The things in that video were refuted by this government's own attorney general. This government's own attorney general's office says, no, Anas was in court to testify. Anas brought the video that he recorded that you are describing to court. When they got to court, the judge then, which also was caught, that judge was later caught in the judge's scandal. The judge then, right, overruled the video. So the video couldn't be shown. And since the state doesn't have anything else to show, the case became a foolish case.
What was the strength of that court? What was it?
What was the strength of the court? I think
was it a high court? Was it a high court?
I believe it's high court because the case will go first to trial court before they go to appeal.
I personally think the judge, it seems that the judge was trying to pay back to.
No. Okay.
That's the way I see it.
We're gonna get to the motives.
We can have all those discussions. And well, you see, when we are talking about I have my issues with the judgment, but when we are talking about the court,
I want to hear them.
I don't want us to do it the way we do politics, okay? Because whether we like it or not, you see, once you get there and the pronouncement is, let me tell you, you see, the reason why we should be careful about the court.
Let's be fair. We are not doing it like the way we do politics.
No. I understand. No, I'm not saying we are. I'm just making a comment for myself, okay? Because you see, when you get to court and the judge hates you and makes a pronouncement and you have to be killed, if they make mistake, you are gone.
Exactly.
You are gone. You see, you can't come back. So
now without appeals, right?
Oh, I mean, it depends. Not everybody appeals. But let's go to the issues. Okay, so you see, courts are of the same level.
I want you to answer the question I asked, which is the tape KA01.
It's KA01 K.
So
KO1A.
All the names.
So the other whatever happened at the other one where you said the attorney general presented it and the court overruled it. It is not binding on this court to take it.
No, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying there. I'm saying that the plaintiff lawyer, Anas's lawyer in Exhibit E, wrote a letter. Exhibit E was a letter he sent to the Attorney General's office, the current Attorney General's office. Yeah. And the current Attorney General responded in Exhibit F, serious. Yeah. That's how the judgment coded. In that response, it indicated that the accusation that Anas frustrated the prosecution of the Babatunde case, right, is inaccurate because that never happened. Anas was actually in the courts. The video that Kennedy Agyapong is accusing Anas of taping but not showing to anybody and not even taking it to court, but because he took a bribe, Anas actually took the video to court and the judge then overruled the video.
And
So how can Anas then frustrate the case where he took the video to court so the courts can rely on that video and prosecute the people, but the judge overruled the video? How can you then base on that and say Anas frustrated the case? I mean, like, I'm trying to kind of make sure you get what I'm saying. That way you can continue.
So there's one thing that you should understand. There's one thing that we should understand here. So that we are dealing with two issues here. Okay. Right. So defamation as a civil case, and Anas was prosecuting it as a criminal case. They are two different cases.
No.
Okay.
No.
If the attorney general, hold on, if the attorney general is involved, then it's more criminal than civil.
So I don't know if you read this part of the case, but I'm saying the evidence KA01, right, is saying that Anas took bribe and did not.
I understand what you're saying.
That's not defamation. That is what happened in 2008.
Yes.
Anas had done this investigation, submitted the evidence to the appropriate authorities. He cooperated, went to court, wanted to present the video. The judge overruled the video, and therefore saying that Anas took bribe, that is why that video didn't make it to court, does not square with the fact that the state prosecutor is telling you. And you, the judge, you have that information in your hand. You even actually have it in your judgment.
That is why most of the, senior lawyers and then judges are having issues with this judgment.
Exactly, because you have that information.
Exactly, you have that information on record. So why do you still information you have on record that was thrown out?
Okay, it is okay, and these things happen in law. When you hold on, Kojo. When you have judges of the same strength sitting on a case, they have divergent opinions. Okay, the only way after they've given their judgment for us to find out, to give strength to it, is to appeal and to say that for this and this there was miscarriage of judgment.
Okay.
And that thing. So you see, when you have, that is why I'm trying to tell you, high court judges, they cannot take precedent from the same. We are par. So one cannot take.
No. I don't think you are understanding what you are still trying to compare those cases. I'm saying that, right? That case that the judge overruled the evidence, right? That is done in 2008.
Okay, by a high court, right? By
high court, but I'm saying this
judge.
Yeah,
you are also not understanding me. A high court. See, listen. A high court is not bound by a high court precedent. You have to get that.
I'm asking you. Listen.
What question are you asking me?
I'm asking you that, right?
Can I come in?
Let me explain this to him. Then you can come in.
The two of you are not getting the point.
No.
Maybe I'm not getting the point.
Let
me explain this to Efa. Then you can come in. I'm saying that, right? We are saying there was a criminal case which is based on Anas's investigation, but Anas took bribe and frustrated the case.
Okay,
that's the first thing. But evidence from the office of the prosecutor is saying no, Anas did not take bribe and frustrated the case. Anas actually showed up at court to actually present the evidence, and the judge overruled it.
Yes.
So, but this current judge is saying, oh, the video
that was overruled
is shown, right? The video that was overruled indicated that Anas took bribe. Exactly. So Anas didn't frustrate, Anas didn't go to court. Anas actually frustrated
I perfectly understand what you're saying.
And I'm saying that it doesn't square up.
That is fine. You see, that is fine. That is a fine comment. And anybody that says no, we are all saying the same thing, but it's the understanding. What you are saying is right. Okay, it's fine comment. You see, after a judgment, you have a right to say, okay, that this does not take out whatever. You know. Okay. After this, I started reading about. Hold on. I started reading about contempt. When a judgment is made, I was even wrong. When a judgment is made, anything you say, you cannot be a contempt. So whatever Anas is saying, no, contempt of court is only when the case is active. After the case, you can say, you can say the judge took bribe, whatever. You are free to say that. When the case is active, that is when you cannot say. But having said that, right? Having said that, listen, these are all expression of opinion. I can disagree with the judge or whatever. It doesn't take away the fact that the pronouncement has been made. We all are just making comments, okay? What Anas needs to do is to take it to the upper level. That's what I'm trying to say, and we are not getting it. If we can finish with our comment, if we finish with our comment, if we finish with this discussion in law, in judgment, whatever has been said, if Anas doesn't do anything about it, if it doesn't go upper for it to be confirmed or for it to be taken, Anas has been described as a blackmailer, whether the judge made a mistake or whatever it is. The reason I'm saying that is this. If this thing that we are talking about was coming from a superior court other than the higher court, then the court was bound to have considered that this has been done, so you don't have authority to rule this. And among themselves, he's also considering it within his own jurisdiction as you are mute. I can't hear you. I'm
saying it's not even a matter of because one court did it, another court should follow. What I'm saying is the basis on which he's making the judgment is flawed, because there is a prosecutor's office that is telling you that what you are basing your decision on, that evidence.
But the prosecutor is not higher than the court. The prosecutor comes to a court to argue a case and get a judgment. So when there's a judgment, the prosecutor cannot say that your judgment should be based on mine. Prosecutors go to court and lose. You have to get that. When you see, listen, there's one thing that you are not getting. When you go to court, you are at the mercy of the judge. When you are in court, you are at the mercy of the judge. You see, if Anas was basing his argument on the fact that the prosecutor says this and that, that's wrong. Okay. Because the prosecutor is not bigger than the judge. The prosecutor is at the mercy. Prosecutors go to court and lose. They don't always win, because when the judge says you are wrong, you are wrong.
No,
that is what you gotta get.
Before we get into that, let me kind of caveat something here quickly.
No, quickly. Before we are going on the same, but let me make this statement. You see, there's one thing. Now, in defamation, what the defendant was standing on, they are defenses. We have to get that. They are defenses. Fair comment and this. No, fair comment because it's a public figure. He think. Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. Fair comment because he's a public figure and he thinks that he has a duty to expose whatever. Just as Anas. Hold on. If I can finish. If we do interruptions, if you can note it down. Oh my goodness.
That which you are saying, right, is another error that this judge made, because the reasoning, I'm going to read what fair comments means to you. Fair comments just means it's somebody's opinion, not factual. That's what fair comments means. So that defense is, I said this, but it's just my opinion. It has nothing to do with being a government official who's trying to expose something. If you are trying to go under the person being a government official,
no. Fair comment is not. Fair comment has nothing to do with government official. Kennedy Agyapong is not a government official, is he?
Let me be fair comment to you. Fair comment is
was he making the statement as a government official?
Okay, I'm saying if you want to do the government
official come in as a privilege. As a privilege and the other one and the absolute whatever. That is where the government official come in.
He has not gone under that defense. He went under fair comment. So you cannot bring in the government official thing, because the government official, you would have to go.
But you are saying government official. I'm not saying government official.
No. Hold on.
That's what you just said. Anyway, go ahead.
Let me come in here, please.
Sure.
We're talking about government official. Maybe we are not using the right word. But the privilege of fair comment is also something that the member of parliament has absolute immunity to. Which
it is not in this case. No. He could not use a member of parliament in here because he has to be in the chamber to get that. A member of parliament that makes a comment outside of chamber, you can be held liable.
Okay, let me lay the defenses to you, right? There are 4 types of defenses.
I understand.
5, actually. Okay, hold on. The first one is the absolute privilege. The second one is the qualified privilege. You can use those if the defamation is in the interest of society. But he went under the other two. He went under the other two, which is justification and fair comment. Fair comment just means it is his opinion. It has nothing to do with him being a government official. Because if he wants to pull the government official, the defense he should be going under should be absolute privilege or qualified privilege. Right. But he didn't come under that. But the judge kind of twisted those things and as though he was coming under any of the privileges, which he did not.
Amazon, what I'm saying, member of Parliament for Ascension, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong went under those. We were just making if he was a government official, and I made it because he's a member of Parliament. He has no privilege. Those privileges can be only exercised when he's standing.
We are talking law here. We are not talking. The defense in the law. So if I use privilege, I'm not using privilege in the street sense and in the parliamentary sense. I'm using privilege as a defense in defamation. And I'm saying he didn't come under any of those defenses.
You didn't even let me learn. I was saying...
I think you're making a mistake, so I needed to correct that before you move on. But go ahead.
If you don't let me finish the sentences, you will know you might think I'm already making a mistake, you're right? So the reason is just simple. What I was saying is, yes, I admit that the member of parliament can only use that when he's sitting in parliament. That is where he will have those privileges.
Why are we even talking about that here?
About that, but because when he said he was not if I said he was not a government official, that's when I came. So it's a government official because of this. But I'm not saying based on this case. I just want to make that distinguish clear.
Okay.
Come to something that is very important that we are all genuine. That is AKO1, the first evidence, right? If you look at the court document, this is what it says. Anas, and let me just make this record straight. Anas was never in court.
No, I don't think nobody said that. We are saying that in the 2008 case, the prosecutor in Exhibit F series says Anas showed up in court to present the video on which is the basis for this judgment.
I'm going to use that. So in that very video, KO1, which was given with Kennedy Agyapong, that is what it is. But what it said, it asks the defendant, asks the what's the name? What's the name for it?
Lawyer to kind of identify whether Anas was the one in the video.
Yes, and he said no. Okay.
Yeah, he said no, and then later on he said yes. Yeah.
Yes, and the other one. And that hold on, and that's why the Anas lawyers and the defendant admit this video in court, and you are saying law.
But it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
It is. Why is it? So
it's irrelevant whether Anas is in the video because the only time you would be saying, okay,
if you admit something in court to be put on whatever you guys call it, like, okay, let's use this as an evidence, and you admit and the defense admit, is it not admissible in court?
I don't think you are following what I'm saying.
No. I just want to ask that. You said it's illegal.
You're asking me a relevant question. I'm saying,
Alfred, hold on with your thing. I'm just asking you as studying law. I am not. But can you let me?
Go ahead.
Don't just stop jumping. I'm just asking you a question. You are studying law. I am not, right? I'm asking you. If we say this pen is an evidence, both of us, you the defendant, and the word is not coming. Whoever case into court, we have to agree upon for this to be intended in as an evidence. Is that not right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So if that KO1 was admitted, both the defense and I just don't know why. Just give me the word. That's like
no. Okay.
Plaintiff.
What's the name?
Plaintiff.
Thank you very much. If both the plaintiff and the defendant,
it's a mistake. They both didn't agree on it.
Let me finish.
You are making a mistake. You are saying both plaintiff and defendant agree on that evidence.
Wait, let me finish. Be patient.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, the plaintiff, the plaintiff and the defendant admitted KO1 as and evidence, it means that we both have admitted it. Is that not right? That's the question.
That is right, but that is not in this case. That is not what happened.
So why did the judge stood upon the KO1 and
because the judge decided to do that himself? So let me tell you what happened in this case. Let me tell you what happened in this case.
Alfred, you're saying something. You said that the judge just put that in himself.
He decided to use that evidence on his own, because let me tell you what happened. The judge. Let me tell you what happened. Apparently, you didn't get the details of this thing. This is what happened. The judge, first of all, the evidence was challenged. One, because the interpretation, first of all, kind of carried into it words that were laid over. And when that was submitted to the judge, instead of the judge looking at the facts that were told to him, he decided to say, but Anas, you do the same thing. It doesn't matter that Anas does the same thing. The question is, this specific evidence has layovers that distorted the evidence. You, judge, you should have looked into that. Second thing that happened. No, the second thing that happened is that Anas says, I have the raw video. He brought it in. The judge. Let me show you the judgment. I'm going to read it to you.
Give it to me, please.
Yeah. The judge says the evidence is not coming in.
No.
I'm going to read it to you. Don't worry. I got it. And then he says, I've done a cross-examination since the matter. But you can be going on. You can be going on while I look for this. Because I think some of you haven't really read this thing properly.
No.
Or you read it, but you don't know that some of these things are covered in there. But I'm going to show it to you.
After this judgment, right, I've been able to go through people who are against and people who are happy about this judgment. And if you look at all the people, even with people who are against and for, are saying that there are certain mistakes, which is about law, that even if the defense or the plaintiff had made. So, for instance, on that KO.
Okay, let me read it to you. Are you ready? On page 45. On page 45.
What page? What page is this?
Page 45. Page 45. I can share the screen if you want to. He says, even though the prosecution sought to tender a tape of plaintiff on the accused person, there is no evidence of the actual copy that was to be tendered. It could have been the same copy as in Exhibit KO1, but it could have been an edited and doctored version. By plaintiff's own account, he rested himself when the court overruled the application of the prosecution to admit the tape. So here, the judge overruled the tape.
And what was that?
And that's one of the bring it. Just because the judge thought it could be doctored, it could be this, it could be that. The judge didn't give the opportunity to even see what Anas was saying could have been the real tape. So it's the judge's decision to bring in this KO1 and rule on it. It wasn't because the two parties agreed on it like you are alleging.
Please hold on. If you read that, right? If you read that, the judge
You go ahead.
The judge gave a reason for why he admitted that, didn't he? There should be a reason, because he cannot.
What was his reason? What was his reason?
No. You have the judge
inferences. It was based on outside inferences. It's based on the judge believing that, you self-confessed on a tape that you were taking a bribe, and all of a sudden those videos didn't make it to the public domain, and therefore I am going to believe that instead of believing the prosecutor's office, instead of even accepting the raw tape that you say you have, because I think the raw tape that you say you have could be edited. He's not saying that you gave it to me and I found it to be edited. He's saying it could be edited, it could be doctored, it could be this and that. So the judge has actually made a decision already that no matter what Anas say, even if Anas was bringing the correct video, I'm not going to take it. What is Anas supposed to do?
Well, let me ask you.
Anas lawyer say arrested, because here we are. You judge, you're not trying to play fair. You took a tape. You had the tape wasn't even transcribed by Kennedy Agyapong's lawyer. So the judge himself ordered for the transcription. And when the transcription came, the layovers were on it, and so the court had to call a court witness. When they cross-examined the court witness, some of the words that were overlaid distorted the thing, and we put it to the judge to say, okay, look at the overlays and maybe remove them. The judge was saying, you do the same thing too, but he's not looking at the evidence that he's been asked to actually examine. You should just examine. Yeah,
you made that point very well. Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
I said Oh, no, let me just use myself. And then they say you say something against me with the UAT, but I am Kojo who recorded that, and then somehow reason you have had a portion of that, and if you've used it for your defense, and I could just said I never said I'm a chief, but maybe I was saying a chief, and then you play over it, and then you used it again. In my own defense, wouldn't I produce the actual recordings and send it to you? Because the recording was made by me, it wasn't made by
And so I try to do that. I try to do that.
Didn't Anas came and say, hey,
Anas
he was not given the opportunity to do that. He was not given the opportunity to do that.
Did you hear what I just read to you?
You guys are telling me like, look guys are telling me, like the judge said that they make the rules and there's no defense and nothing. Can you give me any evidence that was produced that? And I
read it to you.
Hold on, just so you can.
I just read it to you.
No. There was nothing of that in court.
Okay, let me read. You want me to read it again? I can read it again. Maybe take your time and understand the English here, right? He's saying that even though the prosecution sought to tender a tape of plaintiff on the accused person, there is no evidence of the actual copy that was to be tendered. It could have been the same copy as in Exhibit K01, but it could have been an edited and doctored version. By plaintiff's own account, he rested himself when the court overruled the application of the prosecution to admit the tape. Boom.
He rested himself. Right?
Yeah. What is he supposed to do?
What does that mean? Plain English.
Rested meaning that I don't have nothing else to give you. I'm done.
So if you say, give me.
But you overruled the application to produce the evidence. I want to give you the evidence. You say overruled. What am I supposed to do? I brought the tape. Here is the tape. You say overruled. What am I supposed to do?
See?
I shouldn't rest. I should keep standing. I mean, so basically.
So you are this judge.
Boss, I mean, it is what it is, right?
Is that what you're thinking? Like the judge was in.
There's no amount of convincing that Kojo and Ifa will understand. So
yeah. So
no. You see, we all our way of thinking, right? But the fact of the matter is, if Anas is a lawyer, first of all.
Kojo, I think your sound is. Yeah, we are on. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Anas is a lawyer, which again, Kennedy Agyapong says Anas cheated his way out of law school. He's made himself as a lawyer. Yep.
It's fair. And when judgment is given and you are convinced with it, what do? You appeal. Let's see what the appeal came. And I feel it's not going to go to the same place.
Yeah, definitely.
So
that's a good
hold. And from all I have read, and I took my time. I know I went to like page 30 something and stopped reading it.
Okay, so you should give some deference to those of us who read it to the end, okay?
After listening to both sides of the defense, even on Newsfile, where you guys were commenting that day, like the lawyers did not read it.
They did.
But sometimes, you know what, these things comes, right?
I'm sure you learned so much more from this conversation that you did. They didn't really go into.
I'm not going to go into that.
Exactly.
I'll take my time to listen to both against and for. And from what I can see, the only thing that will resolve is for Anas appealing this judgment. And then where that will lie. And I think if he wasn't even given the opportunity, which I've not read to that page 45 that I went to 33 and I was boring. I said, man,
that's okay. Let's go to Paul, right? Paul. Yes. There are more things happening in this case than just that KO1, because then he went into KO3, KO4, and these were tapes that contain the fake Alhaji, the fake sheikh, apparently, who wanted to go see the president of the Republic, Nana Akufo-Addo, and before they did that, they actually stopped at the Antechi's office, and kind of sought the Antechi's assistant to do this. And so the judge went off to say that because of that, this guy's trying to blackmail the president, etc., etc. But we all are in this country, and we know that Anas does his videos and he gives it to the president, and the president will fire people like the deputy minister of finance. If Anas really want to implicate presidents, why wouldn't he do it? Like in all those other instances that instead of him actually doing anything against the president, he does it to support the president instead. The judge has, in your opinion, do you think he has any evidence anywhere to actually reach that conclusion to the point where he's calling Anas an investigative terrorist instead of?
In my opinion, I think the judge has personal issue. He's trying to nail Anas down because he's trying to, show Anas where power lies. I don't think he took his time to analyze the case, to look at the evidence that has been provided, to follow the course proceeding, whereby I personally know that if you are, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal person, I'm an IT person, but if you are producing an evidence in court, it needs to be admissible by both parties, whereby one party is raising issue, but you overruled it, and then you went ahead to use the same information to make a determination. But at the end of it, when you are doing your ruling, you refer to the plaintiff as a terrorist. I mean, it's unfortunate.
Based on the fact that there was a fake shake that actually caused
yes.
And if you really think, and then the accusation too was that Nyantakyi was asked to pay $150,000. He paid $100,000 because he didn't pay the other 50. That's why his state came up. But Nyantakyi was in court. What prevented the judge from putting Nyantakyi into the box and cross-examining him?
Exactly.
What prevented that from? Because apparently that was overruled. The fact that Nyantakyi didn't pay the 150, the judge overruled that. So that shouldn't even be part of the consideration. But he put it in.
He considered it in making his decision.
He put it in there
as a terrorist. Not
no, he's clearing Nyantakyi's name, but he's not really.
Exactly. You know? So for me, this judgment, as I stated earlier on, it's unfortunate. But Anas and his team said they are going for an appeal. Let's wait for the appeal and let's see the outcome of the appeal. But as I stated earlier on, I mean, as much as Anas is doing his investigative journalist and all those stuff, the mode of operation, okay. I mean, modus operandi is worrying to some people. The question is, as a nation, do we have to come together and then accept that modus operandi of operation? I don't know. For me, I mean, I'm being honest here, and you know me, I always say the way it is. I'll not be happy if Anas should just videotape me without my knowledge and then use it and all those things. I mean, nobody will be happy about it.
Right.
But the question is it helping society? Is it bringing the rot in society? And the obvious answer is yes. But the question is, does our laws allow this to happen? That is why we have to look at it. For me, I mean, let's see the case going back on review. Let's see the appeal. Let's see what comes out of it. But for me, I think the judge was prematurely ejaculated and then took a premature ejaculation decision on decision. For me, that's what I think. That's my personal opinion. And I think the judge was not fair to Anas and his team. And I think, let's wait. If the appeal comes and the appeal still holds the stance of the judge, well, as a abiding, citizen, we have to abide by it. Even though
it becomes a very bad precedent, you know.
That's why I'm coming. Even though it will be serving as a bad precedent, the country has to live with it. Just like the way.
And so one day the Supreme Court is reconfigured and they can overthrow
election, whereby there's a bad president, whereby there was figures changing left, right. The judgment was full of error and mistakes, and people were called, with names. It has become a precedent. That is
this judgment is full of errors too. I don't know these judges, right? They make all these mistakes. Anyway, FI, you are back. You've heard me say so much. I was just enjoying myself while you were not here. So, is FI frozen?
I was on, but my phone was frozen or whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
but you see,
they don't have good. They don't have good internet. They are always having issues with internet. These MP people.
Let's focus.
You might want
You see, there is one thing we are refusing to come into consideration. I don't know why we think that certain things cannot be admitted to. Amuzu, Alfred, you know that in thought, when you are coming to equity, you must come with what?
Clean hands.
Okay, clean hands. So here is a guy. he go videotape people, he come and do voiceover, bring his own narrative and get people kicked out, right? And you think same should not be used against him?
No, but what I'm saying there is that if you are a judge, right, and evidence is presented to you and the evidence is questioned, you look at the question vis-a-vis the evidence.
And I'm telling all of you are not listening. No. When you are going to court, you are at the mercy. You see on the chat, he said you are a prosecutor is not at the mercy of the judge. When you are going to court, you are going to prove that you have a case and that the judge should pronounce a judgment for you, right? This judgment that came, it could have gone in favor of Anas, right? Right? And we would have come here with Kennedy Agyapong and his supporters also, right?
No. But you see,
no. I need you to establish the base.
Even if it goes against Anas, right?
Yeah.
We want to see clear application of the law. Here is the case. I can show you in this judgment where the judge went under two defenses for Kennedy Agyapong, but he ended up under absolute privilege and qualified privilege.
Okay.
He started talking absolute privilege and qualified privilege.
So
the defense that Kennedy Agyapong went under. So what was this judge doing?
So exactly. We are not liars. We are political commentators, right? The lawyer, Anas is not just a lawyer, okay? But he was also represented by a lawyer, okay? So if they cannot pinpoint this as a material fact, hold on. You gotta wait. You see, your conclusion based on what is presented to you. And sometimes I don't understand why we don't get this. When points are presented to us, you will see it as somebody with bushy face. Somebody sees it as somebody with a trimmed face. Make your case. So when we all have made that conclusion, and then somebody has said, "Oh, Amuzu is right, Kakapa is wrong, Kakapa is right, this guy is wrong," it is up to you to sit down. Okay, I perfectly understand all the comments. I'm not bashing anybody, but what I'm saying is that you have to sit down and go to the next step. In fact, Anas has 2 more steps to go. If he doesn't go, I will call him a coward. I'm gonna wait. So he's gonna go. I'm gonna wait, but sometimes people can make pronouncements and they are not gonna go. Okay, so we can have all the points, but if we say that it was not, there were precedents and this versus that and that versus that and that and that and that versus that were quoted to present a case. When you find something that is material, I haven't seen all that you're saying. I have read the judgment. And maybe some of the words were too harsh, whatever you want to say it. Right? And you see, the harshness of the words does not only depend on the judgment. It needs to be taken on after the judgment. And I am expecting other institutions of state to pick it up because they are criminal intent in there and the Attorney General ought to respond. The other institutions of state ought to respond to this judgment. If they don't, see, we have a system that we have to question. Right. So when all this is said and done, this says this, that says this, there's a judgment, and then it comes to the public. We are making our comments and stuff like that. I'm hoping Anas is listening and listening to Ghana Agenda. Take some of the points here, go up. Let us all learn and make our court system better. Other than that, what we know is that Anas has gone to court to go and convict somebody, and he ended up being convicted as a blackmailer, as an extortionist, as an evil person, and as a corrupt person. If he doesn't do anything about it, these 4 description holds. And he has no business. He has absolutely no business terrorizing people. He needs to go. We all believe in the principle, but the method is absolutely wrong. The method that Anas uses is completely wrong. We've seen journalists and we've seen criminal people being convicted in this part of the world. Nobody covers their face. People go out there, they catch them, and they expose them. The judge making the pronouncement is the most endangered person in this world. He doesn't cover his face, he makes the judgment. You want to cover your face, that is your beef. But to go and try to pretend that a case exists and convict people and take them in, that is wrong, and that should not be entertained in our system. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I think you're getting the police. Hopefully, they don't arrest you for talking too much. Anyway, is that the Kojo? What are you gonna say? I think you were freezing up.
For my brother, if you look even after the judgment came out, right, the statement thought had nothing to do with the law, but instead the words that was used. And you are practicing law. I am not. I'm not. Even after the 25 pages, I was tired. I can't read like that. I'm good at math, so I'm good with that. I'll take that one. But there was nowhere that he said the judge made any error in terms of application of the law.
No, but my brother, you don't get the judge's judgment until after the fact. The judgment is the final thing you get, so you don't have opportunity to make a comment on it. That comment will be made in the appeal. So you are
saying, when we all have had that, even what I'm hearing from the lawyers, whatever that came out on the same day, that 64 pages is not the entirety of the judgment. That's what I've been hearing from that. But listen on this, bear with me on this one. What I'm saying is the statement that came out after the judgment and whatever preliminary thing that we all had, the 64 pages, and that's to a statement based on the words that was used against the generic law.
Right.
That was what it was.
Because the judge didn't do any analysis for him to actually reach those conclusions.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
I'm not even interested in that. What I'm interested in is first of all, he has to go to court and then go for appeal. Let's see what happens.
We get that part. So guys, don't be repeating the appeal thing. We already got that. He's gonna go to court and get appeal.
Yeah.
All right, I want us to transition to the last thing we want to talk about today quickly so that we can get out of here.
Oh, man.
What I'm saying is one thing is clear. The method of which Anas was using was not indicted in any way, shape, or form. What was indicted was not indicted. The judge did not ask him why you're doing this or not. But what was
right? They're there for defamation.
Yes, the main thing was based on what the judgment was pronounced was that why are you being selective in terms of who you are producing and who you are not? When some people were based on the evidence that Kennedy Agyapong gave, when people pay, it seems their names are out, and there was an evidence on that. And the $1.9 million, that was a case. That was a case that was defended on an Arab, and that was in then professionals. And the Professor Mayes made an appointment of Anas going to investigate those people that brought that Arab. $1.9 million. It was a gold scam, that we can unveil them. So we these people in order for the investments community to know that in Ghana, when you come to Ghana and you do investment and you scam, there's a law or there's a country that will protect your investment. That was the intention of Professor Mayes. I always say is that it was going to be the best president or whatever it is what it is, and that was the intention. No, I don't even care. I'm saying already, this is recorded. I don't have a problem with it, and I'll stick to it any day or night.
Just go ahead and say he's the best president ever. You can say that.
He didn't finish his term. He would have. I've seen that he was because of the things that he has done or stood his legs for. So then he said, let's conclude on that. So that was the reason. And then Anas went in there.
That's why he didn't finish.
Yes, Anas went in there, collected money from Babantude, and those names were attached.
And that has been refuted. So restating that, I've kind of showed you where.
Can we move on to the next topic, please?
Yeah, we need to move on, man. My brother. Because we really getting what we've already spent so much time on.
Unless maybe you want us to end on this topic today.
Maybe we should end on this and then we
can end on the next time, because it's scheduled for it's almost 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then you're saying about why it was the point awarded $50,000 because the case was thrown out.
State of the nation.
It was asking for $1 million for court and the lawyer process, and the judge ordered only. So that is the reason for the $50,000. When you brought this fraudulent, when you brought yourself, And then
So there was murder, child abuser, hacker, and the judge didn't care about any of those ones.
He gave
No, that is other institutions to take it up. He has just made his pronouncement. It needs to be taken up by other institutions.
What I'm saying is there were specific words that if you listen to the judge when he was doing his roadmap paragraph, he says we would have to evaluate each of these words to say, one, if they are capable of defaming you, and if in fact they actually defame you. Okay, he said all of them are capable of defaming, but when it came to whether they actually defame, that's when he brought in the defense. So you only rested the defense on one evidence, which is the tape showing the bribe. And meanwhile, there was a bribe about Nyantechi. You threw that one away because he said you knew.
Because Nyantechi was not on trial. Nyantechi was not on trial.
No, but I'm saying, okay, I'm saying that the evidence, part of the evidence was that, right? Part of the evidence was Anas, what is the name? Kennedy Agyapong said, Anas is a murderer, is this and is that, right? And one of the Kennedy Agyapong's evidence was Kennedy Agyapong testified to the fact that Anas took $100,000 from Nyantechi.
Yeah.
What did the judge do to that? They just threw that away.
No, because he charged him $150. He paid only $100,000.
Because the taker, the giver of the bribe is as guilty as the taker. If we say so Anas is guilty too. Why are you giving bribe?
You're not listening. The thing is, the judge thought that allegation is bullshit because Nyantechi did not pay a dime in any bribe. So when that evidence came back, the judge overruled it.
Okay, let me say this.
But
right.
So there are all other things that the judge could have actually opined on. You would have expected him to talk about.
But it's true that Anas goes around giving bribes and records people and take it and present it as evidence. He does that. No, there is evidence that Anas goes around. So that in itself is a criminal activity.
Where is the evidence?
Well, Alfred, I think
why is the evidence? When he goes there and when he's done with this thing, he puts money on there, he videos people, and then you go and say this is so now for you. What are you talking about?
I think we need to end this program on this note, but I'm saying
no, state of the nation. State of the nation. You don't have to, don't call for one-on-one.
Let's do the state of the nation. Let's do the state of the nation. Let's do state of the nation.
No, let's take it to next week. What do you say about that affair? Because
next week,
I am available. I am available next week.
Next week, I have a program.
Next week, you have what?
Next week, I can do 2 to 3 because I have a program on a radio station. We start at 4 p.m. So I can do 2 to 3 next week.
Okay, we'll do that first thing, and then you can jump off if you want to.
So before we wrap over, okay. What I want to say is that, look, whether we like it or not, I've stated on this show that if it is true, if it's established that it's true that Anas, when he does the secret recordings, he comes to you to for you to bribe him. If it's established that that is true, then that's a cause of worry to all of us.
Yes.
And to establish, I will not put a lot of weight on that. For me, my conclusion statement on this issue is that I think the judge was too harsh. The judge took the issue personally, trying to, show Anas where power lies, because maybe Anas has tried to expose the judiciary, so he's trying to get back to Anas, which is unfortunate because looking at the evidence, whereby evidence of himself, the judgment he wrote, contradicting himself, K01, K10A, a whole lot of error in the judgment shows that, he didn't take his time to do a good job. I am saying, and I agree with my brother Ifa, that Anas should take the steps and go to the court of appeal, because the words that have been used against him are very, very strong words.
They are damaging.
Blackmailer, a terrorist, a traitor. They are strong words.
And there's no basis for those words, because the president...
Yeah, that's what I'm coming to.
There are basis for it. Don't say no basis. There are basis for that.
What are the basis? Because he's saying that...
Anas goes around, record people, put money there, record it, and go back and put his own words on it. What are you talking about? Which of his videos has he not done that?
If
And then on top of that, after he's done, he goes to see people, those who are able to pay, your video don't come out. There's evidence to that. That's why you say no.
No, they didn't prove that. That was not proven.
They didn't prove that. They didn't prove that. Okay. Go. If you go to a superior court judge and tell them they didn't prove that, and then we'll take it from there.
Thank you, my friend.
You guys hang your coats on this type of things. Okay, go to the superior court and
But what else? No. All that we are doing, all that you quoted, the defenses and all that, were there no laws? If I know that it is not the law, why did he go there? Why did he not go to or to take him and watch it?
Can I make my conclusion statement?
You did a little bit of legal studies, right? The law is the law. We are not in the court for the law. We are in the court to actually balance the facts, using the law as a guide. Okay, so basically, the facts here are very more important than the law to speak with. It is the facts that we are taking to say, he did this, he did that. Let's compare it because he did this and he did that. We can reach a certain conclusion. But in this particular case, the facts we are looking at, we are saying that they are not credible.
Well, no. I am not disputing what you're saying, Alfred. It's your opinion, I agree with it. I'm just at the time that what has been done by the Superior Court, which I agree, you go up and quash it, it stays. That is what we have. The judges are the ones that have a final authority to say that your evidence is admissible or not admissible. Other you guys are saying blah 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 blah. When you are going to court, you better be prepared.
Okay, so if there's an error in facts, usually it would be reviewed de novo. In other words,
let me say this thing. As I wrap down. Let me say this thing.
Let's go one at a time.
Amuzu, please. So if the in fact, is it me, you, Paul, and Ifa are the one that are going to correct it on our show, on your show? No, they have the proper way of doing it. Is that all right? So he should go through that.
We know that. You are telling us something we already know. We know we don't have any. We are saying that we are just opining about these things, right? We know these things have happened. We're just sharing our ideas about it.
So for me, Kojo, I think the judge was very personal. He took this issue personally. He was not, wearing his judgment hat on.
And that is the fault with our system.
Whereby he's going to do justice to all manner of person, irrespective of where you are coming from. Hey, I don't think justice was done in this case.
It wasn't.
As I stated.
That is what.
Let him finish.
Yeah, let him finish. Kojo, let him finish.
Kojo, as I stated, I totally agree with Brother Ifa. Okay, if Anas do not go for an appeal on this case, then Anas is also a coward.
Yeah,
because if all these words have been used against you, okay, and if Anas know deep down within his heart that he is not that type of person, he's not a terrorist, he's not a traitor, he's not a blackmailer, as has been described by the judge, he has to go for an appeal and make sure that all those judges, all those judgment will be set aside. If not so, it will follow him, as Brother Ifa said. He's going to follow him wherever he goes to.
Let me interject quickly, and before you come in, Kojo. The problem with our legal system is that we don't have a jury system, and the judge recognized that in this ruling, that he himself has to be the finder of
Okay. Point of correction, Alfred. Jury system operates in the criminal setting. This is a civil case. So why are you bringing here?
Jury operates everywhere.
I don't know about that.
Jury operates in the civil
case. Absolutely. What are you talking about?
Oh, really?
Yeah. But you don't know this.
Oh, I didn't know that though.
The only place jury doesn't come in is in matters of equity. Where you are asking for.
Yeah, but civil is under equity. Equity is under civil law.
When he was talking about release, right? You see him stating that if before the defamation is published, you can actually call for interlocutory injunction. Interlocutory injunction is not an equitable relief. That is a legal relief, right? The only equitable relief is damages. But we are talking about liable, so you don't have to even prove damages. So again, this is not, if this was in the United States, this would be a jury case.
case. Okay.
And so that's why he actually took his time to say that. That's why he actually took his time to say that in other jurisdiction, there would have been a jury who would do the fact finding. But in Ghana, there's no jury trial. So he has to take off his gun as the judge and now become a regular, ordinary person with reasonable person with ordinary prudence to do the fact finding. Okay. At the same time, apply the law to the fact. That is where our problem is. So if you are doing anything constitutional amendment, this got to be one of the first things we deal with.
You see, hold on. You see, one of the problem I have with us is that, okay, this is a problem we see after this discussion, it ends. Let us have a test of what we have as a system. So you see, tomorrow it will be someone else. Probably it will be Alfred, it will be me, or it will be Paul Bisosu. So long, you see, that is what we have. So you are not going to come here. We should have had this. We don't have this. We should have had that. We don't have that. You know, successive government, they see what the problems are. They're not going to fix it. Anybody that falls in, enjoy the taste, and then we go on.
But if I also in Ghana, criminal cases, there's no jury. Okay, Ghana has no jury.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
So jury system in Ghana is nothing.
In wrapping up, we spent
but even jury. Okay, let's do a little bit of education here. Even in jury cases, right? Even jury, it's still based on the jury. The jury.
That will be determined by the jury.
Of course, and it's always gonna go against somebody.
In that case, right? It will be maybe 6 or 7 people who are actually agreeing and disagreeing with. It wouldn't be just one judge somewhere.
Yeah. But the jury has to be unanimous, right? It's not majority decision.
Yes. Right? You can poll the jury if you want, depending on.
So they can have disagreement, but at the end of the day, they will be pointed to something, and then they all have to agree before a judgment can be pronounced.
They haven't reached a unanimous decision. The judge can order them to go back and deliberate more.
Exactly. So they'll keep on going out to the. And what I'm saying is that the judgment will go against somebody, and the person that it goes against will not agree.
Anyway, let's do last words and get out of here. Let's start with Paul Bisosu on the last one.
So my last word is saying that
we can come back to it again.
Yeah, sometime. My last word over here is saying that I think the judge was being unfair. His judgment was, pre-ejaculated, and that I think he should look at the judgment again. He should look at it and look over it again. Right. And I personally think I recommend the 12 Angry Men for this judge to go and watch that video, because it was one of the video in my first master's degree, whereby it was a video that we have to watch, and then we have to make a case argument against and in favor. So I recommend Justice Eric Ban to go and watch the 12 Angry Men and then take lessons from there. As much as I said that, once again, I want to say that I'm very disappointed in our members of parliament for what they've done, stabbing the party at the back, betraying the party at this moment, whereby the whole country was putting their hope and trust in them. They've disappointed us. And I once again want to use this, your medium, to ask and to request from the leadership that we should visit out this over 30 plus MPs and deal with them. If they have to make everything to even prevent them from going as a member of parliament in their areas, let's do that. Because
you guys are not giving us any hope whatsoever.
Thank you.
Any hope whatsoever. It seems NDP figures a way to be the NDC.
Paul, you don't have pre-ejaculation. So
your last words, please.
Yes. So that you will sleep very well tonight. You see, as much as I also have that thinking of we have a divergent view in terms of this judgment that has killed we all have been in terms of Anas going forward, killing it, making it work. We should not also think that the judge did not know exactly what he was doing. But I also agree with you. You can judge, everybody is but then we should believe in our institutions, see what we can do to help improve the institutions that we have. If there are things that are not good, that's why we have layers of responsibilities of what everybody can do. We should go ahead, use those lays down procedures to do that. And finally, I thank you very much. I know you've been a while. You've been busy studying for your thing. So when you become a lawyer, you have to have patience in court. Other than that, the court will start taking your problem because you don't want us to land when we are making our statement. But other than that, you're awesome. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to come and bring our views every day. And Paul, go to sleep. Get some Aklen and for 3G and then
get some sleep, right? All right. Afa, over to you, man.
Before Eva comes in, Eva has gotten a lot of math today because of this irresponsible decision by some members of parliament of the minority. Eva has gotten a lot of math today. But anyway, I agree and admit, and as I stated, I admit that we goofed big time. But there's another time.
That's a good one. We live to fight another time.
Yeah, Kojo, you want to say something before I come in?
We live to fight another day. Sometimes we all
exactly. I am really not feeling. I didn't feel my brother today. So
how can he feel it? How can he feel it?
He's humble in defeat.
And before this, like he said, we had a conversation, and I could see it is like a family member is gone out of his family, and the guy is mourning. You know, I will tell you something too. You know, for some vodka to overtake the this thing has really pained them. You see,
let me say something, if I please. When Amuzu started the show, right? You know, I was not part of it, so I was so eager to see Paul's face, and I thought if I said, and then my brother one day. You
are right. I didn't sleep well at all. I mean, the whole night I was rolling in bed. How can I defend this thing? Once I'm going to meet Brother Ifa today, Brother Ifa is going to have a lot of time. Okay, it is what it is.
Anyway, yeah, we can always have another time. But here is the catch. Here is the catch. And you see, this is not an opportunity for you to revenge among the people in there. That is a no-no. What NDC should realize is that you see, it used to be a time where it is complete dictatorship. You take it or you leave it. And then the young ones like Okudjeto Blokwa and began to bamboozle their way through it to tell their leader, we also have a voice in there. You're going to get to a point where you're going to come to us. Do you know the challenges we face when we go to meetings? Huh? Massa, it is not an easy thing. No. So what you should know is that a time is going to come where there's going to be a total revolt within there. It's all part of the governance and it's all part of the process. Now, what NDC is facing, you are the crossroad. For us, we are enjoying it. The change of leadership and all this kind of stuff. We love it, pa. The disunity in there. That is it is one of the factors that is going to break. And believe you me, we are going to hammer in there. We are going to bash it in, pa, for political reasons. Because it is to our advantage. But you as a political party, let me advise you. Even if you want to deal with the people that cause this, whatever, you don't have to do it externally. Do it internally. Ask us. Do you think we had wanted to see Bagwin as speaker? Never. Hell no. That is why in the printing, the night before, we were sure that Kwe was going to be. But man, you never know. People are going to tell you. It gave us the distance. And since then, you are not seeing the trend. Sometimes some of these strategies, I don't know what you even talk about. You have to do an internal something that doesn't come out. You see, when you want to deal with internal issues, don't make it a public thing. Don't try to muscle yourself that I am Asia Dunketia, I am Mahama, and I'm going to show people where power lies. No, you do that when it comes to the other political parties. But when you are dealing with internal parties, because whether we like it or not, we need the MPP and DC to give us the opposition we need. And you see, I can go on and on and on of some of our members that really admire the thing that is coming here and the fact that we need to take it for this country to move on. So if you are going to do that old way of we are going to fish them out and teach them where power lies, believe you me, that is going to be a very big problem for you. It is not going to help you and help your political fortune in 2020. This thing. I am not supposed to say this. Maybe I'm going to get some reprimand for that, but this is a free advice for you. No, do internally and tell the people to do it. But when you are doing it, know that people also have their opinion.
We don't
No.
need your free advice. Keep it to yourself. We don't need your
Nah,
free
nah,
advice.
Okay. So now go there, fish them out. Let us know. I have already given you a list of the suspected people on our platform. Take it to the national executive and talk about it.
guys.
And we will be happy. We will be
But-
happy to fund it for you so that there will be more fire. And then we will send the National Fire Ambulance to come and quench it. By that time, we'll be in 2025 and we would have sworn in an MPP as a president. Now,
Let's
on
take
the issue of Anas, me sitting here, I respect the court and I agree with their judgment. Now, the happiness we have in there is that that is not a finality. You have the chance to say that the judge didn't treat you fair, that justice was not done, and that you have to carry on, which is, you have to appeal. So go sit down and bring it in there. But me sitting here, based on the evidence available, based on what Kennedy Agyapong has presented, based on other things that we've seen and we've heard Anas doing, yes, as we speak right now, Anas is a blackmailer, he's an extortionate, he's a corrupt person, and he's an evil man. He should repent. If he's a Muslim, he should go and pick the Quran. If he's a Christian, he should go and pick the Bible and say, Father, I've sinned against you, forgive me. Other than that, he is what has been described. Because the court is the ultimate. You see, when I'm telling people you are the mercy of the judge, you say whatever. When you become a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer anyway. When you become a lawyer, you will understand. When you go there, they have that authority. But that should not also tell them to use personal whatever in their judgment. If it is a case that they are too personalizing and stuff like that, let us reform our judiciary and make sure that that is the final and the ultimate place we have to go for radio. Thank you very much. Amuzu, I appreciate you. You are improving. In fact, your law is really helping you. You are no longer an accountant. You are a quasi lawyer. God bless you. God help you. And I really appreciate my family, especially my good friend. My good friend. I really admire him. But I will not be short of backing you and making sure that in 2024, NPP is the one that is sworn in as the government ruling Ghana, because we have what it takes to make Ghana great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Don't make my head bigger than it already is. I'm telling you. So, anyway, quickly, I'm trying to open up a Ghana Agenda social platform for everybody to join. We'll send a link out because I think though we have NDC platform, MPP platform, there's not one big platform where anybody, regardless of what political hour they are on, to come and debate politics. We're going to make it just about politics. What do you guys think about that? I want you to kind of help me with that idea. We can take it to our platform and discuss it, but it's something I've been thinking about. So thank you guys today. It was great. Yes. If I come in.
So quickly on that. So that is a great idea. Do it so we can have that bigger with all of that coming in. But this is what I will say. So when we share the link and people join, everybody needs to be told what this platform is for, not just people come there and they go off track and because a lot of people are going to join, professors, and we should debate the issues. What is your reason for saying that? What is this? So we can have that rich, like the under of a soup. Everything under is very, very important and very sweet. So what we can have the under of this thing. Yeah.
When I set it up, I'm gonna kind of draft some introduction, and then as people come on, I'll post it from time to time so they know what we are gonna use this platform for and why we want to have it. So great. I think the discussions has been proper. We wanted to talk about Asadio Okitier's State of the Nation against the President's State of the Nation, but hopefully we can take that next week. I always appreciate your coming to contribute on some of the most difficult conversations that it's been had on YouTube. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate the Ghana Agenda for the day. We will be back next week, and if it is Saturday, you know what time it is.